The champagne was warm. That's what the billionaire's daughter said before she tore into the exhausted waitress in front of everyone. 24 hours later, everything changed. The waitress owned the restaurant, and the spoiled heiress was wearing an apron for the first time in her life. Emma's hands trembled as she carried the tray of champagne glasses toward table 7. She'd been on her feet for 9 hours straight, and the lunch rush at the Golden Terrace showed no signs of slowing down. Her lower back ached with that deep, familiar pain that never quite went away anymore, not since the accident that had taken her mom 3 months ago. The hospital bills still came in the mail every week, each envelope a reminder of everything she'd lost and everything she still owed. She approached the table carefully, forcing her tired face into a smile. The woman sitting there didn't look up from her phone. Designer sunglasses pushed back on perfectly highlighted hair, diamonds catching the light at her wrists and throat. Emma recognized her immediately. Victoria Ashford. The tabloids loved her. The billionaire's daughter who'd never worked a day in her life but somehow always had opinions about people who did. "Your champagne," Emma said softly, beginning to place the glasses on the white tablecloth. Victoria's hand shot up without looking, and Emma froze mid-reach. "Not there. Are you blind?" "I said I wanted them on the left side. The left. Do you not understand basic directions?" Emma's throat tightened. "Of course, I'm sorry." She shifted the glasses to the left side of the table, her hands shaking slightly. She hadn't slept more than 4 hours last night. The neighbor's baby had cried until dawn, and Emma had lain awake anyway, staring at the stack of bills on her nightstand, doing math that never quite added up. "And this champagne is warm." Victoria finally looked up, her blue eyes cold behind designer frames. "I specifically asked for it chilled. Were you not listening, or do you just not care?" "It was chilled, ma'am. I brought it straight from—" "Don't argue with me." Victoria's voice rose, sharp enough that nearby tables turned to look. "Do you know who I am? My father owns half this city. I could have you fired with one phone call." Emma felt something crack inside her chest. She'd held herself together through her mother's funeral. She'd held it together through selling everything they owned just to pay a fraction of what they owed. She'd held it together through 16-hour shifts and sleeping in her car some nights because she couldn't afford both rent and food. But standing here being spoken to like she was nothing, like her exhaustion and grief and desperate efforts to survive meant absolutely nothing to someone who'd never struggled for anything in her entire privileged life. "I apologize," Emma whispered, but her voice came out wrong, hollow, defeated. "I'll bring you a new bottle right away." "You'll bring me a new bottle. And you'll bring it fast, and maybe if you're lucky I won't speak to the manager about your attitude problem." Victoria waved her hand dismissively, already looking back at her phone. "Actually, you know what? Forget it. Just get away from my table. Send someone competent." The words hit Emma like physical blows. She nodded, turned, and walked away on legs that felt like they might give out. She made it to the kitchen before the tears started, hot and angry and humiliating. She pressed her palms against the cold steel counter and tried to breathe. "Emma, you okay?" Carlos, one of the line cooks, looked over with concern. She couldn't answer. She just shook her head and kept breathing in and out, trying not to fall apart completely in the middle of her shift. Behind her, she heard the kitchen door swing open. "Emma Rodriguez?" It was Michael, the floor manager. His face was grim. "Mr. Ashford wants to see you in his office. Now." Emma's stomach dropped. Mr. Ashford, Victoria's father. The man who owned this restaurant and a dozen others. The man who could end her career with a word. "I didn't do anything wrong," Emma said, but her voice shook. "She was rude, and I stayed professional. Just go," Michael said, not unkindly. "5th floor. Don't keep him waiting." The elevator ride up felt like climbing toward her own execution. Emma watched the numbers light up one by one, each floor taking her closer to losing the only income she had left. She thought about her mother's hospital bills, about her tiny apartment that she could barely afford, about the community college classes she'd had to drop because she couldn't work enough hours and study at the same time, about every dream she'd carefully folded up and put away because survival had to come first. The elevator doors opened onto a hallway that smelled like expensive leather and wood polish. Emma's worn sneakers squeaked on the marble floor as she walked toward the office at the end. The door was already open. The man behind the desk looked nothing like she'd expected. Victoria's father should have been cold, sharp-edged, cruel like his daughter. But Richard Ashford had kind eyes behind his glasses, and his suit jacket was draped over his chair like he'd been working too long. He looked tired. Human. Ms. Rodriguez? Please, sit down. Emma sat, her hands clasped tight in her lap. She wanted to defend herself, to explain, but the words stuck in her throat. What was the point? People like him didn't listen to people like her. I understand you had an encounter with my daughter this afternoon, Mr. Ashford said. Sir, I didn't mean to upset her. I was just trying to do my job. He held up a hand, gentle but firm. I'm not here to reprimand you, Ms. Rodriguez. I'm here to apologize. Emma's words died. She stared at him, certain she'd misheard. I was having lunch 3 tables away from Victoria. He continued, his voice heavy with something that sounded like shame. I heard everything she said to you. Every word. He removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes. I failed as a father. That much is clear. I've given my daughter everything except the things that actually matter. Character, compassion, respect for other human beings. Emma didn't know what to say. Her mind felt blank, wiped clean by the sheer unexpectedness of this moment. I looked into your file, Mr. Ashford said, and Emma's heart lurched with new fear. I hope you don't mind. I wanted to understand who my daughter was speaking to so cruelly. He paused, and his expression softened. Your mother passed recently. Medical bills. You're working 60-hour weeks. You've never been late, never called in sick, and your customer reviews are exceptional. Your co-workers say you're the hardest worker here. Emma's throat burned. She couldn't cry, not here. Not in front of him. You remind me of someone, Mr. Ashford said quietly. My mother. She was a waitress, too. Single parent. Worked herself to exhaustion to give me opportunities she never had. I built everything I have on the foundation of her sacrifice. He looked at Emma, really looked at her, like she was a person and not just staff. What my daughter did today was unacceptable, and I'm going to do something about it. You don't have to fire her, Emma said quickly. She's your daughter. I don't want to cause family problems. I just fire her? Mr. Ashford's laugh was bitter. No, Victoria doesn't work for me. She's never worked at all, and that's part of the problem. He stood up and walked to the window, hands in his pockets, looking out over the city. I'm going to teach her the lesson I should have taught her years ago, and Ms. Rodriguez, I'd like your help to do it. Emma felt like the floor had tilted beneath her chair. My help? He turned back to face her, and there was something determined in his expression. Something that looked almost like hope. How would you like to own a restaurant? The question didn't make sense. The words were English, but they seemed to arrive in the wrong order. Meaningless! I don't understand, Emma whispered. Tomorrow morning, Mr. Ashford said, I'm going to transfer ownership of the Golden Terrace to you. Full ownership. Free and clear. The world stopped spinning. Emma couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. This had to be a joke or a test or some kind of cruel game. But I'll need you to do something for me, he continued. I'll need you to hire my daughter as a waitress. Minimum wage. She needs to learn what it means to work. To earn respect instead of demanding it. To understand what she put you through today. Emma's mind reeled. Yesterday, she'd been drowning in debt and despair. Today, a billionaire was offering her a restaurant. It felt like a fever dream. Like something that happened to other people in movies or fairy tales. Not to exhausted waitresses with empty bank accounts and broken hearts. Why? The word came out barely audible. Why me? Because, Mr. Ashford said, his voice gentle but firm, you're exactly the kind of person who deserves a chance. And my daughter is exactly the kind of person who needs to learn that chances aren't given. They're earned. He extended his hand across the desk. Emma stared at it. This offer that could change everything, that could lift her out of the hole she'd been drowning in for months. But taking it meant becoming Victoria's boss. It meant watching the woman who'd humiliated her serve tables and take orders and learn humility the hard way. Emma thought about her mother. About the lessons she'd taught through example rather than words. about kindness even when life was cruel, about dignity even in the hardest moments. She reached out and shook Richard Ashford's hand. "I'll do it," Emma said. "But on one condition. I want to teach her the right way, not through revenge, through real work and real respect." Victoria's alarm went off at 6 in the morning, and for a confused moment she thought it was a mistake. She never woke up before 10, but then she remembered her father's ultimatum from the night before, delivered over dinner in that quiet, disappointed voice that was somehow worse than yelling. "You're going to learn what work means, starting tomorrow. The Golden Terrace, 7 a.m. sharp. You'll be training as a waitress." Either she showed up for work, or he cut off her credit cards, her allowance, her apartment, everything. The drive to the restaurant felt like driving to prison. Victoria parked her Mercedes in the back lot and walked through the back entrance. Kitchen staff looked up in surprise as she passed. The dining room was empty except for one person standing by the host station. It was her. "The waitress from yesterday. You!" Victoria said, her voice sharp with confusion. "What are you doing here?" "I'm supposed to meet with the manager." Emma looked at her steadily, no trace of yesterday's fear in her eyes. "I am the manager, Victoria. Actually, I'm the owner. As of this morning, your father transferred full ownership of the Golden Terrace to me." Victoria felt like she'd been punched. "That's impossible. You're a waitress. You're nobody." "I was a waitress," Emma interrupted calmly. "And I'm not nobody. I'm the person who's going to train you. Your father asked me to teach you what real work means." Emma held out a black apron and a name tag. "This is yours. We open in an hour." Victoria took the apron with shaking hands, her face burning with humiliation. The first day was brutal. Emma showed her how to fold napkins, arrange silverware, check glassware for spots. Victoria's back started hurting. Her feet ached in her expensive heels. When the lunch rush hit, everything became chaos. She took orders wrong. She couldn't work the computer system. She had to call Emma over repeatedly for help. By 2 o'clock, Victoria collapsed into a chair in the break room, her feet throbbing with blisters. Emma appeared in the doorway. "I was horrible to you," Victoria said quietly, looking up. "Yesterday, I was horrible." "Yes," Emma agreed. "You were. I didn't think about what your life might be like. I just thought I mattered more than you did." Emma sat down across from her. "Your father told me about your grandmother, that she was a waitress, that she worked hard so he could have opportunities." Victoria's throat tightened. "She would have been ashamed of me?" "Maybe," Emma said. "But I think she'd be proud of you for being here today, for trying to learn." The weeks that followed transformed Victoria in ways she never expected. Her body adjusted to the physical demands. Her mind learned the systems and rhythms of restaurant work. But more importantly, her heart began to open to things she'd been blind to her entire life. She learned the names of the kitchen staff. Carlos sent his paycheck to family in Mexico every month. Maria worked 2 jobs to put her daughter through college. She learned that the older couple at table 12 came every Thursday for their anniversary, that the businessman at the bar was going through a divorce and just needed someone to listen. Victoria started arriving early. She asked Emma questions not because she had to, but because she genuinely wanted to understand. How did Emma handle difficult customers with such grace? How did she make everyone feel valued? One evening, a customer got angry about his steak and called Victoria an idiot. The old Victoria would have exploded, but she took a breath and said, "I'm so sorry. Let me get that fixed for you right away." When she brought him a new steak, he apologized for his rudeness. Emma watched from across the room and gave her a small nod. That nod meant more than any compliment Victoria had ever received. By the 3rd month, Victoria realized something shocking. She enjoyed the work. She felt proud making it through busy shifts without mistakes. She felt connected to her coworkers in ways she'd never felt connected to anyone. She mattered because of what she contributed, not because of her last name. On her final scheduled day, Emma called her into the office. "You've completed your 3 months. Your father said you're free to go back to your old life if you want." Victoria sat down, thinking about her old life. Designer clothes and expensive brunches and shallow friendships. Days with no purpose. What if I don't want to go back? Emma smiled. "Then you don't have to." That evening, Richard Ashford came to the restaurant and sat in the corner, watching his daughter work. She moved with confidence now, laughing with customers, helping a struggling new server the way Emma had helped her. When Victoria's shift ended, she joined her father at his table. His eyes were wet with tears. "Your grandmother would be so proud of you," he said, voice thick with emotion. "I wish I could have known her," Victoria replied. "Really known her." "You do know her father said. "I see her in you now. The way you treat people. The way you work. The way you care," he took her hand. "I'm proud of you too, more proud than I've ever been." Victoria felt tears slip down her cheeks. "I want to do more, Dad. I want to help people the way Emma helped me. I want to create opportunities for people who need them." Her father smiled. "Then let's do that. Together. But I think you should come home first. Not to your old life, to a new one. One where you use everything you've learned here to make a real difference." Victoria looked around the restaurant. At Emma, who'd shown her kindness when she deserved punishment. At Carlos and Maria and the others who'd accepted her. "Can I come back sometimes? To help during rushes? To remember?" "You're always welcome here," Emma said, hugging her. This place changed both our lives. 6 months later, Victoria and her father launched a foundation. They created job training programs for people in poverty. They offered scholarships to workers trying to better their lives. They partnered with restaurants across the city to provide fair wages and opportunities. Victoria worked at the foundation every day, often 12-hour shifts. She knew every participant's name and story. She treated janitors and executives with the same respect because she finally understood that every person's work had value. And once a month, on Thursday evenings, Victoria put on her apron and worked a shift at the Golden Terrace. She served the anniversary couple. She chatted with the businessman at the bar. She brought extra crayons for the mother with 3 kids. She worked alongside Emma and Carlos and Maria. She carried trays and took orders and cleared tables. And every time she remembered the person she used to be. The person who thought she was better than everyone else. That person was gone now. In her place was someone her grandmother would have recognized. Someone who understood that the measure of a person wasn't what they had, but what they gave. Not their name or money, but their character and heart. Victoria's father had given her 3 months in an apron to teach her a lesson. But Emma had given her something far more valuable, a chance to become the person she was always meant to be. She'd found herself in the last place she ever expected, in aching feet and tired muscles, in the grateful smile of a customer and the camaraderie of coworkers, in the simple satisfaction of work well done. Richard Ashford watched his daughter at the foundation one afternoon, speaking passionately with a young single mother about job opportunities. He thought about his own mother, the waitress who'd sacrificed everything. He thought about how close he'd come to failing Victoria completely by giving her everything except what mattered. That evening at dinner, Victoria told him about a new program idea. Her eyes shone with purpose and passion. She was happy. Truly happy, not because of what she owned, but because of who she'd become. "Thank you," she said suddenly, "for not giving up on me, for giving me a chance to change." Richard smiled. "Thank you for taking it. Your grandmother's looking down on us right now, and she's smiling." Victoria reached across the table and squeezed her father's hand. She'd been born with everything, but it took losing it all, even temporarily, to finally gain something real. She'd discovered that the greatest privilege wasn't wealth or status. It was the opportunity to grow, to change, to become someone worthy of the life she'd been given, and that gift was worth more than all the money in the world. Victoria walked into that restaurant as a spoiled heiress who thought she was better than everyone. She walked out 3 months later as someone her grandmother would be proud of. Emma could have made her life miserable, could have gotten revenge for that humiliation, but she chose kindness instead. She chose to teach rather than punish. And that choice changed everything. Sometimes the people we look down on are the ones who lift us up the most. Richard Ashford could have just lectured his daughter, could have threatened her, could have done what most wealthy parents do, throw money at the problem. Instead, he did something radical. He gave away his restaurant to teach his daughter a lesson about humanity. That's real love. That's real parenting. And Victoria? She could have quit after day 1. She could have run back to her comfortable life. But somewhere in that exhaustion and humiliation, she found something she'd been missing her whole life: purpose. 3 months of serving others taught her more than a lifetime of being served ever could. Now she spends her days helping people climb out of poverty, creating opportunities, changing lives. The girl who once treated a waitress like garbage now fights for workers' rights and fair wages. If this story touched your heart, we need you to do something right now. Hit that like button. It helps this story reach more people who need to hear it. Share this video with your friends, your family, on your social media. Someone in your life needs this message today. Subscribe to our channel because we bring you powerful true stories like this every single week. Stories of transformation, redemption, second chances, and the power of human kindness. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next upload. And here's the most important part. Drop a comment below. Tell us what moment hit you hardest. Have you ever judged someone unfairly? Has anyone ever shown you grace when you didn't deserve it? Have you worked in service and experienced disrespect? Your story matters. Share it in the comments. We read every single one, and so does our community. Remember, it takes years to build a reputation, but only seconds to destroy one. Treat everyone with respect, no matter their job or position. You never know what battles they're fighting or what lessons they might teach you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story. Keep believing in second chances. Keep believing people can change. Keep being the kind of person who lifts others up instead of tearing them down.